Hello. Happy Monday if you are watching us live to the Pick Six Podcast. Katie Mox and Will Brinson here, joined by our Pick Show squad, Alex Selelnick and Emory Hunt of Sportsline. The last episode, the Super Friends broke down week 3 of the NFL season. That was Breach, Wilson, and Brinson. Wilson boldly claimed Miami as the best team in the NFL. I dispute that slightly. And they tried to decide which weekend's upsets were the most consequential. You can watch that episode on our YouTube channel or the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. While you're there, feel free to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss another episode. Fellas, happy Monday. Wild. We're not going to recap everything, but it was a pretty wild weekend in the NFL.
It was. Although I would say that, like, if I were ranking the 3 weeks so far of this, what a thermos that is, by the way.
I just got it.
You got a Bang Bang sweatshirt on and a Niners football thermos, and somehow it's not the most intriguing piece of like clothing. And I'm wearing like I don't even know what the hell I'm wearing. I'm wearing a Megacorp. Shout out Brian Harmon and Megacorp a polo. And I mean, Emory's got a Pick Six podcast shirt on, and still all of us not the most intriguing clothing because Alex is rocking a Devil's Advocate Al Pacino shirt.
I am indeed. Good call, Brinson. I'm glad you. It's a great film. Gotta love that one.
You know that you can tell like the better an Al Pacino film is, like there's like a sliding scale. Like Al Pacino films, like how much is he, like how much is he screaming?
How animated is he?
The more how animated and like screaming is he? Because the more animated and screaming is, the better the movie is. Like of course the famous Brian De Palma film Scarface. He screams a lot and shoots a lot of guns.
And does a lot of other things.
What's your favorite? Yeah, other stuff. Yes, but yeah, I mean, yeah, the crux of the movie is drugs. What's y'all's favorite Al Pacino movie?
Oh,
so many good ones. Obviously, Scarface, a classic. Devil's Advocate, Scent of a Woman, can't go wrong there. But I mean, I'm gonna probably just go Godfather. Right, that's just like the classic. It's an understated Al Pacino. But obviously, such a great career, such a huge fan of the guy. Yeah,
I mean, it's
I'm looking up all of his movies right now to see which one I like.
I love Heat as well.
Heat is fantastic. Any Given Sunday is a pretty good one too.
Ooh, he was in Dick Tracy.
Yeah, I wouldn't name that one as the.
I just was surprised he was in it. I obviously remember Warren Beatty, but I don't remember him being in it. Yeah, I'll go Scarface.
Yeah, Scarface is a great one. Lots of good ones. Emory. Hey.
Scent of a Woman was good. He was Big Boy in Dick Tracy.
Oh, that's right. Good call.
I did like the Dick Tracy. All right, guys. Well, we're obviously going to get into early leans for week 4.
I don't know how I got there. Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, wait. Yes, you need yours. Sorry.
Oh, I'll go. I'll probably go Scarface or Heat. Heat's fantastic. Yeah. You get De Niro, Pacino, the scene in the diner. Val Kilmer's in it with that gorgeous hair of his.
Oh, Val.
Yeah.
Tom Sizemore.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Sizemore. Okay. He's still alive, right? Tom Sizemore. Did he?
No, he passed away. Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. All right. On that note, let's move on, and we'll talk about some early leans for week 4. But let's get into a little bit of a recap for week 3 in terms of some betting nuggets. Favorites went 7-6 against the spread. Home teams 7-6 against the spread. Quite the departure from the first couple weeks that were all about road teams and specifically road dogs. Road dogs this week 4-5 against the spread, but they're still 17-11-1 on the year. Unders were still a big thing, 8-5. Anything that you take away from this Propstarz in terms of the trends for week 3?
The Broncos defense is really bad. That was something, right? The Bears defense is really bad. They were really bad coming into the week, but both those defenses were absolutely putrid. The Minnesota game against the Chargers, both of those teams looked like they were like trying to one up each other on the best way or the most ridiculous way to possibly lose that football game. It was a wild week of individual performances. Obviously, the backfield in Miami, we're going to get to that, was just completely dynamic, combining for 8 touchdowns, 300 rushing yards. Just some incredible football.
I think we saw the over was it dogs are now 21-21 against the spread or something like that, like dead even at 500. I mean, I think what we saw in week 3 is probably going to be closer to the reality. And like, I know that Harry was asking in the rundown, I was like, do we think that bookmakers are catching up or anything like that?
Yeah.
I think it's probably more like, to me, it's more a case of we had the first 2 weeks of the season, week 1, everything goes under. Week 2, everything goes over. So NFL teams are catching up. Like, I wonder, like, is this the new norm where we start to see offenses come together in week 2 because week 3 or week 1 is sort of like the initial, or the final run of the preseason. And now it's like all of the, I always talk about the priors, right? All the things that we thought we knew about these teams has sort of adjusted to the point where, for the most part, we're going to see, like, I'm not saying like Vegas knows everything about the teams, because look, 3 dogs of 7.5 points or more won outright on in week 3. Like, that's wild.
There's the Cardinals, the friskiest.
Right.
I love them.
Yeah, Cardinals, Colts, and the Texans, all touchdown dogs or more won outright. So like, underdogs are still going to be there. It's just like, I think that you're sort of seeing the flattening out and sort of like what we always talk about. Like, if you're going to make money in the NFL, you need to make it in the first couple of weeks of the season when your priors and your thoughts about what's going to happen in the season end up being correct, and you are ahead of the curve on before we catch up to some of these teams. And so now it's like that. I think the catch up is sort of happening, and we're going to see things even out a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, well, real quick, Emory, were you surprised by anything this weekend? I mean, obviously quite a few blowouts. One of them, I think, was to be expected with the Bears getting blown out by the Chiefs. But I don't know if any of us thought that the Broncos would get blown out that bad. Were you surprised?
No.
Yeah, that won't surprise me because of the amount of the points that they scored. But yeah, I wasn't too particularly surprised by the Colts.
Yeah.
Wasn't
your Colts. Your Colts. I mean, I know it's not how you plan to get here, Emory, but the Colts call looks like looks better. Like, they're in the mix.
They're first in the division right now, so
yep.
I'm not going to celebrate too early. But that's why you kind of. It may sound wild when you say it, but people will soon learn that I know what the F I'm talking about, right? So if I tell you it's Christmas, start wrapping presents. You know what I'm saying? So you also look at the Cardinals game, and this is. It's fascinating when you watch the Cardinals play, because when you factor in, the defensive side of the ball, which I was high on, they have some pieces on offense.
Mm-hmm.
We was unsure about the quarterback position, but Josh Dobbs, we thought, wow, they made a move for him. We thought Colt McCoy was kind of steady the ship, hold it down. Josh Dobbs comes in and plays exceptionally well.
Yep.
So now, to your point, Will, about readjusting your priors, seeing double-digit lines now for the Cardinals may just be a fool's errand, because obviously they're going to play tougher than the double-digit point spread. So it's fascinating to watch those guys play out. And you start to now wonder, well, what happens when they get Kyler Murray back? They may be even better. So it's going to be fascinating to watch the Cardinals.
They're gonna play him, right?
Yeah, they're going to play him. And if you're Kyler Murray, why wouldn't you want to play? Because the team was good. So I feel like the Cardinals was the biggest surprise in how they really, and you go back and watch the Giants game, you're like, well, damn, they were blowing out the Giants. They fell apart late, and they really took it to the Cowboys from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
So Cardinals really surprised me this past weekend.
Well, and I think it's a little bit of a, not redemption, but, Gannon, I think nobody in Philly was sad to lose him. He wasn't particularly motivating. We saw, right, those motivating speeches he did in training camp. And I was like, that doesn't make me want to do anything. And then look at how well his team is performing, outperforming Brinson, you and I were like, this is going to be a team that loses the most games in the NFL. And then they beat
still
one
could,
of the best
but
teams.
I think that, like, I think you can to me, like, after 3 weeks, and it's only 3 weeks. The Dolphins were 3-0 last year and finished 9-8, right? I mean, and they 2 ahead. I don't know, have you guys seen that stat? Breach, CBS put it on Instagram, and Breach pointed out on the podcast last night. But Tua Tagovailoa has literally the exact same pass attempts, pass completions, touchdowns, I think yards, and interceptions as he did 3 weeks in the season last year.
Ooh, so that's a little ominous for Miami.
Or something. I don't know, man. It's pretty good.
I mean,
it's weird, right?
Yeah, that is weird. All right, let's get moving here and let's talk about the week 4 lines. First up, we're looking at the Lions at the Packers. Right now, Lions lying 1.5, total 45.5. Interesting because the look ahead line had the Lions as 1.5 point dogs, and then this has flipped the other direction based on, I think, how both of these teams played this weekend. Offensive tackle Matt Nelson and his ankle was ruled out against the Falcons. Offensive tackle Dan Skipper, what a name, hamstring, did not return in the game. Emory, any kind of early leans, or what's your scouting report for Lions at Packers?
You like how both offenses are starting to play, and the Packers faced a tougher defense last weekend in New Orleans, and the Lions faced a tough defense themselves in Atlanta, and they were able to put up some points. So I feel like the over is in play here now that you have a confident Jordan Love and how he was able to bring that team back. They couldn't get out of their own way at times. I feel like this one could get into shootout territory. So I kind of lean to the over more so than the spread.
I like this over too, actually. I lean on this over as well because we know that Jared Goff and the Lions can put up some points. And the Packers are going to be extra motivated because they got knocked out of the playoffs last year by the Lions. And the Lions have won 3 straight games. And I do think that Jordan Love has been moving this offense a lot better than at least I thought that he was going to. So I'll lean with you on this over. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't mind the over. I mean, the only thing is like a Thursday night. You're going to see the Packers probably try and keep it sort of condensed in how they're going to operate, and the Lions can do the same thing too. I mean, look, Jared Goff outdoors, a little concerning, maybe. Would prefer to have the Lions at a plus number, I think. I guess I don't know where I stand on this one. I'd probably lean towards the Lions right now. I don't think you have to jump on them though, because they're hard to see them getting out to be like a 3-point favorite. Green Bay has had these last 2 weeks where they were up big on the Falcons and cough up that lead. Then they're down big to the Saints and then storm back and just the second 17-point comeback entering the fourth quarter in franchise history. Aaron Rodgers did it in 2014, I believe. So, I mean, I think you can still have a lot of questions about and by the way, on the Tua thing, no yards, but exact same stats other than that. I don't know. I think it's a tough one. Thursday night in Lambeau. Weather's not gonna be bad. I don't believe. I'm just I'm still a little torn on this one. So I don't think I have a huge lean towards anything right here.
I've been impressed with rookie tight end Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
5 receptions in his first 3 games. That's unusual production for a rookie tight end. They don't typically hit the ground running. Jahmyr Gibbs finally got the lion's share, pun intended, of those backfield touches in Detroit. Looked pretty good. Obviously, no Montgomery back there. I think when he comes back, he's going to get a lot of that early down work. But I was encouraged by Gibbs' performance. And then as the Packers offense is concerned, just so impressed with Jordan Love. He does not look like someone who's played a handful of games. Looks very experienced, very comfortable in that offense, and it's operating without their 2 best skill position players in Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. Romeo Doubs has been really good. I really think he is a good-looking player, going to continue to produce at a high level as long as Watson's out of the lineup. So those are some guys I have my I have my eye on in this matchup.
I like it.
Dig it as well. All right. Falcons and Jaguars. London game. 9:30 in the morning on Sunday. Emory, you're shaking your head like.
I hate these early morning.
I do too.
On all sides. TV, as an analyst, as a player, stop it. That does so much.
Wait. What is it? It's on like 9 a.m. Eastern?
9:30 a.m.
I love
Eastern.
it. I miss, because when I used to live on the West Coast, we had games at 10 a.m. Getting games started in the beginning of the day. I love it.
I will say that it's like there's usually a lot of time that you kill on Sunday mornings.
To do other things.
You're sitting around and you're like, all right, of course I love watching Tops with our own Catherine Mox. That other pregame show on CBS Sports Network. If you're not watching it, what are you even doing? And then checking in on CBS Sports HQ for the finest up-to-date information. I in no way am sitting around going, God, why will the football start? So yeah, I hate it too, but I kind of love it. I'm like, ugh, 9:30 a.m. football. I don't want to deal with that. And then I'm like, this is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
There's
But
football
y'all
on.
have never lived on the West Coast, though. We're so used to it. On
Yeah,
the
but
West Coast, waking up.
I've watched it over there, and it's like it's over there. I've watched it, like it's fantastic. You know, you're like, this is sweet. And then like Sunday Night Football's done at like 10 o'clock. You're like,
Oh, it's so nice.
I could get in bed at 11 o'clock. This is fantastic. Podcast. I thought about moving like out west just for podcast purposes.
Just for that Sunday night recap show. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Look ahead here was Jags -3, opens at Jags -3, total 43.5. I'm going to go ahead and keep riding the Falcons here. I think the Falcons are a pretty good look. There's no home field advantage here. The Jags technically are the home team. I don't think that like the books screwed up or anything and forgot that this game's in London. But you can see the juice there. Falcons +3, -115 on FanDuel. I also think the under here is a pretty good look as well, 43.5. I want to say I gave this out before the season on HQ when it was like 45. And it's come down 1.5 cents. I just think you're going to see Atlanta slow things down tremendously. Now, one key thing here, Doug Peterson wouldn't confirm it, but reportedly took over play calling at halftime against the Texans on Sunday. The Jaguars didn't score a point in the first half with Press Taylor calling the plays. And then if Doug Peterson was calling the plays, they scored 17. Now, they gave up 37, including the big man kickoff return. So, like, you know, it is what it is. The Jaguars defense isn't great, but the Falcons are a very methodical, slow, even if they're efficient offense. I would probably lean a little bit towards the under in the Falcons here, catching those points. Emory, you any thoughts here?
Yeah, it's tough to watch the Falcons' offensive attack because theoretically on paper you see explosiveness and you think, okay, they should be playing this type of game, right? They should spread it out, and that way you open things up for Bijan Robinson, then you open things up for London and Pitts, and it makes sense when you spread the field. But as you notice, when they go max protect, it's tough for them to really, if they go empty or whatever, it's hard for them to protect. So that's why they kind of have to go max protect. And on the other side, you lose Troy Anderson, which is a fantastic defender, athletic defender. So they are a little bit weaker going into this game, but Jacksonville's offense has been inconsistent at best. So we don't know which Jags offense is going to show up. So I kind of like the under as well here, especially we don't know what field we're going to get over there in London because it's usually damp, slippery, is terrible. So that's also a factor as well. I think this screams like run game, one big passing play, enough to get you to win. But I like the under.
Is this the week where the Jags have back-to-back London
Yes,
games?
they get Buffalo next week. And then in week 5, Cam Robinson's eligible to come back from suspension, but we don't know if he's but we don't know if he's going to fly to London to play in the week 5 game or not. Yeah, so they get the Bills next week without having to leave, which is pretty handy for the Jaguars.
Yeah, really.
Alex, any leans here with the early start?
Yeah, Calvin Ridley revenge game potentially here, obviously.
Great
So
call.
that's something. Yeah, he could be really motivated. Probably get a nice discount considering had that big week 1 performance and 2 subpar performances the previous 2 weeks. That could be something to look at for sure. This Jags defense, as you guys are all aware, was pretty highly rated coming into the matchup against the Texans. Turns out they're a paper tiger. So yeah, I think this defense
Paper
definitely
Jaguar.
got exposed. The Jaguars defense. Yeah, I think this is a potential spot for Bijan to get a lot more rushing volume. Did not look good. This Falcons team did not look good playing from behind. I think they'll be heavily emphasizing the run in this game. They got away from it pretty much in the second quarter yesterday. So that's a couple spots that I like.
Yeah, the Jags looked awful this last weekend. Poor Pete Prisco was really getting it from all angles on Twitter yesterday.
Pete also said that the Dolphins, even with a healthy Tua, were the 5th or 6th best team in the AFC. So that's going poorly
Right.
for him.
But I will say in our notes here, I see that there's no home field. The Jags are the most popular team in London. So if there is a home, I mean, I've watched documentaries on this. The people in London absolutely love Jacksonville.
Well, that's because they're over there all the time. It's like, if you
maybe a slight
if you only got access to strawberry ice cream, you'd be like, I love strawberry ice cream.
or I'd hate strawberry ice cream.
Oh, okay, well I bet if you only got access to chocolate ice cream, if you say everyone likes ice cream, okay, so you can't be like I love all ice cream. Okay,
No, but I like strawberry. But I'm saying if it's the only thing, you might actually get sick of it, and then you might want something else. But that's
well, how do you think they feel about the Jaguars?
oh.
No, I mean, but I do think in this particular case, the Falcons are not going to show up with like some like massive fan. If this were like the Patriots or Packers or something like that. Also, Harry notes in the chat, I believe that is this the ESPN's doing the Toy Story the Pixar, like your kids can watch it on
Really?
like they're broadcasting it on simultaneously with Toy Story. Isn't that right?
Oh, so it'll be like the Nickelodeon, but Toy Story?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
You know,
fun. Oh, I'm tuning into that.
Yeah, so you can watch it ESPN Plus or Disney Plus with a 1 hour cut down version the next day on the Disney Channel and Disney XD. An actual game between the Atlanta Falcons and Jacksonville Jaguars, animating each play live in the Toy Story universe.
Oh, I love this. As a Disney adult, I love this, and we'll be tuning in for that. All right, we don't need to talk about the Disney adult thing because I think you guys already know that. Anyways, all right, moving on.
That's not why we don't need to talk about it, but yeah, moving on.
I'll be tuning into the Toy Story feed. I'll tell you that much. All right, Dolphins at Bills. Interesting because the Dolphins just put up 70. Yet the Bills are favored -2.5. This total is high, 53.5. Look ahead had the Bills -3.5. So this has changed just 1 whole point based on this. Obviously, I don't know. I don't know why the Dolphins aren't favored here. I truly don't.
Buffalo is still a really good football team. I would actually take the Bills now -2.5. I think it gets to 3. Miami's coming off. Look, they're coming off a great game. They absolutely beat the brakes off the. Okay, look, you can make the case. I think you can make the case that.
I don't know. Okay, yeah.
Look,
make your case
70-0 is a beatdown. Nobody's disputing that. Like the last time they scored 70 points was like before the Super Bowl was invented. 37-3 ain't not a beatdown. And Washington's maybe a better team than Denver. I'm just saying the Bills. I think
the Bills
people
are a good team. I love the Bills. I still don't think they should be favored in this matchup. I will lean
It's in Buffalo. I'll take the Bills.
I'm taking the Dolphins.
Okay.
Let's just count the fast guys for the Bills on defense and find me 5 that can keep up with 5 on the Dolphins side. I think they're gonna make this track meet. And remember, this Dolphins team not only beat them last year in Miami, and then we saw Bills fans and Bills players complain about the heat, like whatever. Then they go up to Buffalo on that Thursday night, I believe it was, or Monday night, and it was cold, but we saw Miami still have some success, but that was after Tua had the concussion issues, and we know his play suffered then. Then we saw him in the playoffs, and they were able to get after Josh Allen, keep him contained in the pocket, try to force him to play a one-dimensional game. So the Dolphins defense, I think, matches up well with Buffalo, but I just don't think the Bills defense, despite being solid, can match up with Miami. I'm like Katie, I don't understand why the Dolphins are underdogs here. And to me, this is a gimme. I would stay away from the total because it's a division game. We could see this one get close. Very familiar with each other's offensive attack. So I would just attack the straight up Dolphins here and take them on the money line wise plus money.
Bills never get enough credit as far as I'm concerned. They're continually every year slept on. I'm with Brinson here. I like the Bills in this spot. But yeah, as far as props are concerned, high total here. Going to be very explosive game. A ton of yards in this matchup. I think Miami's been vulnerable to downfield passing. So that's something I think Gabriel Davis, who's been the downfield threat for Buffalo's offense, I like him to get loose for a couple big plays as long as reception prop looks like something I'll be taking a pretty close look at. I've also been really impressed with the Bills running back James Cook, very versatile, 3-down skill set, looked great back-to-back weeks, both on the ground and through the air, 100-plus yards. So, yeah, I think James Cook could be an X factor in this game, certainly in line for a lot of play. That Miami backfield, so explosive, so fast. Will be really interesting to see how, coming off this historic performance, sort of where their props end up. But, yeah, this game should be a ton of fun, a real shootout.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's going to get to Bills -3. Maybe we see, it's not going to get to 3.5. I can almost guarantee you that. Like nobody, if it gets to 3.5, there'll be a tremendous amount of buyback on the Dolphins at 3.5. The total, if you really like the over, you should bet it now. I don't know how. I don't like it. I said this about the Chargers and Vikings game. I don't think it'll tick up that much. The weather's gonna be fine in Buffalo, especially like 76 and sunny. I see it at 54 at other places. We saw 40 points scored in the first matchup between these two teams last year in Miami, and then 62 scored in Buffalo later in the season. And I believe that was in the first matchup. Tua had not gotten hurt because the Dolphins came back. The Dolphins were losing the Bills, I think, and then came back. But anyway, the point being is like, I like Buffalo here. I'll probably wait to bet it. I would take the 2.5 now because I would rather get the 2.5 than the 3. But you can always bet the money line as well. Anyway, we got to take a break. When we come back, Pittsburgh Steelers got right on Sunday night against the Raiders. Can they keep it rolling against the Texans? We'll tell you next.
There's no Belichickery here.
When Sunday football isn't enough.
Dislike that take.
Great take.
That other pregame show will put you over the tops.
I'm all in. Let's go viral here.
Every Sunday, all the insight you need on CBS Sports Network.
Well, that was exciting. That's the first Tops preview that I've seen. And
audio listeners won't know what the hell we're talking about here, but we on YouTube we have commercials that we run a lot of times, often featuring CBS properties because we're a CBS show, and that was that other pregame show. Katie Mox on her own hosting a show for which she with commercials for another show that she hosts on. Amazing.
My goodness.
It's Moxception.
Yeah, which I'm sure thrills everyone listening. All right, let's
Brinson, I'll tell you that much.
All right, Steelers big win last night. Kenny Pickett. Maybe we're starting to trust him a little bit. He was shaky for the first couple weeks there, and that offense is starting to click a little bit versus the Raiders. So they are 3-point favorites over the Texans. This total is 41. Look ahead had Steelers -4.5. It opened at -3.5. So it's kind of been up and down, a little bit of a roller coaster there. Emory, I want to go to you first because the Texans played really good yesterday. And the Steelers, I mean, they played good, but I don't know how impressed I am with them because I feel like the Raiders just kind of self-imploded. It's like, what was Josh McDaniels doing? I can't even get into that. But what is your take on this game?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right because I feel like in this game, the Texans have the better quarterback, more confident quarterback.
Well, and Jimmy's got a concussion, so he may not be playing this weekend.
Wait, what?
Oh, right. Sorry, thinking about the Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
Oops. Yep, keep going.
So, when you factor in how we watched Kenny Pickett play, and again, it's the same thing I talk about with Brock Purdy.
I love how much you hate Kenny Pickett.
It's not that I hate Kenny. That's today's media. Everybody think if you're critical, you hate, right? But it's really just being honest. And, like with the dropped interceptions, like Marcus Peters usually catches that, right? And he usually brings that back to the house. But Kenny Pickett's arm is going to be a liability. The arm strength here is the biggest question. And you have now a Texans defense that's really getting after the quarterback. I think they play inspired ball. And Stroud has shown a lot of the mental makeup that we saw from him against Georgia. Like, he's a fearless guy. So he's going to step up in the pocket. He's going to try to do what he can, keep his eyes downfield, make plays. We see Tank Dell and those guys having big plays in the passing game. And I know, our colleague Brian McFadden doesn't want to hear this. BMAC may want to close his ears, but they're going to target Patrick Peterson. That's
our colleague too. He might not want to hear it.
Right. That's where they have an advantage with the speed and youth is basically why they're targeting Patrick Peterson, not because they don't think he still can play, but it's just, hey man, fresh young legs against Patrick P. They're going to try to take advantage of that matchup there. But on the other side, they're going to get after Kenny Pickett and play the run on the way to the quarterback, try to force him to beat them throwing the football. I don't think it could happen. I like the Texans plus the points here. I just feel like Kenny Pickett, when you rank him in a division, he would be 4th. Watching him play this year is almost like when a big play happens, he's like, thanks. Thank God this play happened, right? Whew, I'm glad I hit that deep ball. It doesn't look confident. And so when you facing someone that has that dog in him like Stroud does, it can get ugly like bowling shoes out there. But I do like the Texans points here.
Ugly. I like that actually. Ugly. That's a nice dad joke.
The Pickett stuff too is like with Matt Canada. You heard it. I mean, Chris Collinsworth on that final play to like get the first down where the Raiders blitz from the slot on the left side, and there's just nothing you can do. Like, it's a quick out. Kenny Pickett. There's like anybody on this podcast could make that throw. It's just like, as long as if you see that guy blitz, you dump it off. And Collinsworth's like, now I know that. I know Matt Canada catches a lot of heat, but he's like, that was a smart. But it's like, okay, if you have to, like, if you have to include that caveat with every single like good thing that the Steelers do on offense, then that's a problem. And I was just sort of thinking as we were sitting here, I was like, why did I got off the Texans and they were 0-2 against the spread in the first 2 weeks of the season. And then they just went outright against the Jaguars yesterday. I kind of like, I didn't really love CJ Stroud. Like that was kind of my big hang up is like, they were going to end up playing it, but CJ Stroud's been really good the first 3 weeks of the season. And so I don't know why I adjusted I think I'm like kind of like on the fly readjusting my priors. I mean, like I need to get back on my Texans bandwagon. Maybe, maybe DeMeco Ryans figured it out. It took 2 weeks against, like against a Colts team that was prepped for him and had Anthony Richardson playing well. And then of course you had, you had the Ravens in week 1 and then they take care of business because the Jaguars, like I think the Texans look like I think the Texans are in there with the Cardinals in terms of the frisky. They're going to be kind of frisky and kind of a pain throughout the season. Like they're not going to be a pushover, right, Alex?
I was really impressed with the Texans. I've been really impressed with CJ Stroud. He's looked better and better every week. The knock on him coming into the week was that all his production was just mopped up in garbage time, but obviously wasn't the case in week 3. Really impressive from the first quarter on. Rookie Tank Dell, super fast, 5'8", 165 pounds. They have a very good duo there alongside of Nico Collins. So I think this Texans team is certainly headed in the right direction with this very good young core. As far as the Steelers are concerned, I couldn't agree more with Emory's take on Kenny Pickett. His delivery is so painfully slow and telegraphed. It's amazing to me that he's a starter in the NFL. Marcus Peters should have 100% had a pick 6. I think the Raiders win that game if he was able to cash in on that play. And when is Jalen Warren going to take over as a starting running back in Pittsburgh? Najee Harris looks like Trent Richardson at this point. He's completely cooked, no burst. Meanwhile, Jalen Warren's very explosive, 3-down skill set, catches passes out of the backfield. Reminds me a lot of Deuce Staley, actually. But I just think he's a much better running back at this point. He gives the Steelers a better chance to win. I think it was actually 50-50 as far as the snap allocation was concerned last night, but I definitely think he deserves more touches in that offense, and he's probably their best offensive player, certainly in the backfield. All
right, moving along to the Rams at the Colts. I think that this line, let me double check. I thought that for some reason, the Colts had been favored. I swear to God, I saw the Colts favored by 1 earlier today. Am I nuts? Did I not see that?
Maybe. No.
Over on, and I know we're looking at FanDuel, and I'm not trying to.
Whatever, shop around.
The Colts are -1 on DraftKings. I mean, I realize that the team's got to win. You're more than likely got to win by 1. So at least 1. I mean, there can be a tie, of course, and you can end up, you win by 1 if you're in. The point being is if you're betting the Rams on FanDuel here, take that money line -108 versus the even money -1.5. That's actually a terrible. That's not the correct number. You shouldn't be laying even money 1.5 and then only pay 8 cents to get the 8. You're getting 1.5 points for 8 cents. That's really good value, that. That's incongruous. And I'm not ripping FanDuel at all. It's just you just see this sometimes out there. The Rams are +1 at DraftKings and -105 on the money line. So there's something's not adding up here. These numbers are not equating to each other. So that's why it's more of a you should shop around point. And again, this is one where we are looking ahead to a degree because the Rams are playing on Monday night against the Bengals. And when we're recording this show at 2:30 in the afternoon on Monday, we don't know if Joe Burrow is playing. And so we don't know what the Rams are going to do, who the Rams are going to be playing against, and how that outcome of that game will affect what the market thinks of the Rams. Now, I'm high on the Rams, and I don't think Joe Burrow is going to play. And I realize that saying that at 2:30 in the afternoon when I could look stupid because there are 2 Monday Night Football games, I could look stupid in 5 hours. But you know what? I've looked stupid faster than that a lot in my life. So I'm not particularly worried about it. I think if the Rams take care of business against the Bengals, which I believe they will, Burrow or no Burrow, that this line is going to get up to closer to Rams -3. And I know the Colts are a really good team, but I think Aaron Donald has a monster night on Monday Night Football. Ooh. I think Matthew Stafford plays really well. And I think that you see this kind of tick up a little bit. It's indoors, which is good for the Rams. The Colts have played well, but I just think that the Rams will. I would bet the Rams now on that money line minus 108 at Indianapolis. And this is not any slight on your Colts, Emory. I just think it's gonna be a little bit more expensive if the Rams win on Monday Night Football.
First, take the Colts on the money line here, and I'm gonna tell you why. But I'm gonna touch on what the Smitty said. Quick story about what he said in the chat. He said I look like Brian Westbrook. So here's a funny story. I went down, I do scouting and whatnot. I was scouting Villanova, and I think they were playing Lehigh. So I get down.
Villanova has a football team?
Oh, they have a fantastic football team. I'm down there scouting players because they had a couple that Tano Passanio was playing. He was a DN. And so I'm in the press box before the game, and this older guy probably was at Villanova when they opened up the doors, right? He's talking to me. He's like, man, it's good, it's good you here. I'm thinking like, yeah, I've come to Villanova a couple times. I love coming back, great press box food. They serve you food twice at Villanova. It's easy to get in and out of Villanova. The parking deck is right behind the stadium.
Probably not a ton of people at the football game.
Right. So it was packed. Villanova was good. At the time they were top 5 in the FCS, but now they're top 25 still. But he's talking to me. I'm thinking like, it's pretty cool. Like, maybe he remember last time I was here, and it started to click. I was like, wait a minute. I'm starting to piece together what he's saying. Like, it's good to see you back on campus. Glad you're back here. It's always good to get you. I'm like, he think I'm Brian Westbrook. I didn't have a heart to tell him. I was like, I just let the man rock, man. Like, I appreciate it. I just like, and he probably realized that I wasn't him later on, and he kind of felt some kind of ways. He just kind of
was this gentleman
he was Lou Holt's age, put it that way. He was around Lou Holt's.
Was he Lou Holtz's persuasion as well?
Yeah, he was an old.
That's unfortunate.
Like, that's not, he's like, why is he not recognizing who he is? I'm like, because I'm not who you think I am.
I mean, you're not. It's not like
same size,
Yeah, running backs,
right? And at the time, I'm still heavily lifting, so it's like, okay, I kind of see what he thought. But it's funny that he thought I was him and realized I wasn't. It was like, damn, I got to go sit over that now. So
yeah, you didn't correct him. He's like, this man, let me talk to him.
Yeah,
I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Well,
I was gonna say for the Colts, it was here's why I was high on the Colts coming into the season, because they're zigging when everyone is zagging. There is run game and defense. Their defense, if you notice, in the first 3 games, excellent. Like, they really shut down the Jags. Everybody, the Jags scored 30 points. That last touchdown, whatever. They had the Jags offense sputtering. And if, Richardson doesn't throw that pick, and this is what worries me in this game, if, I know you have a lot of these smooth brain scholars. It's like, go for it on 4th down every time. Well, you see what that looks like with the Chargers and with the Colts. How many points he left out there on the field trying to go for it on 4th down against Baltimore, against Jacksonville? If they just kick field goals and punts, they beat Jacksonville. They're sitting 3-0. So that still worries me a little bit about this game. He may try to outsmart himself against Sean McVay, but their defensive line crowds the line of scrimmage. They get pressure. They collapse the pocket. They make it tough for you to complete passes. And we know Stafford is not the athletic guy that he was maybe in his earlier 20s. So he's going to have an issue. And if Richardson is back, that zone read with Zach Moss now is going to be even more deadly than it was with Minshew, who tried to give the game away multiple times yesterday. So this is a tough game for the Rams, and it's a tough game for Shane Steichen to really coach a clean football game and not overthink things and take the points because they do add up. But I do like the Colts here because of their defense and the getting Richardson back. Because here's what I think. I think Richardson could have played against Baltimore, but the Colts probably thought they were going to lose against Baltimore. It was like, yeah, let's let Minshew get out there. Ravens going to blitz him, sack him.
I think he didn't clear concussion protocol, right?
That's what they're saying. So I think they was like, we're not going to put him at risk of getting sacked against a very aggressive Ravens defense. We let Minshew do that. And so they lucked up and got a win. Mm-hmm. And I think Richardson will clear protocol. Probably it'll be announced quickly. And then he'll be out here against the Rams at home, indoors, on turf. It should be a fun game, but I do like the Colts to win.
Okay.
You got any thoughts, Props?
I've just been very impressed by Zach Moss. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Colts have looked good as soon as he was inserted into the starting lineup in week 2. He's basically handled every single touch in the Colts backfield. He's even shown some receiving chops, not something I was aware of a 3-down skill set there with him. Hasn't really come off the field for the Colts. He's been absolutely excellent. The Rams' run defense has been vulnerable as well. So I think this is a matchup that benefits the Colts. They can run the ball a lot against the Rams. So love Zach Moss, love what he's bringing. It'll be interesting to see with Jonathan Taylor back if Moss is going to continue to have be a big part of the offense, because I think he's certainly earning playing time.
I agree with both of what you guys said. Well, one, I like the Rams here because the Rams are winning tonight, and this line is definitely going to move because I, with you, Brinson, don't think that Joe Burrow is playing tonight. Plus, I think that the Rams are better than the Bengals right now, at least from what we've seen from the first couple weeks. But to your point about the run defense props, if Anthony Richardson is playing, I'm taking him for an anytime touchdown because that is cash 2 weeks in a row and then not this week. So
cash every week he's played.
Yeah, cash every week that he's played. He just finds a way to get into the end zone. All right, the Vikings figured out a way to outcharger the Chargers, which was a Ryan Wilson tagline that somebody else tweeted out, and he thought that they stole his thing, so I wanted to give him credit for that. At Panthers, Vikings minus 3.5, total 44.5. Opened at 3, look ahead was 2.5. Man, it's just so interesting to me. It's so interesting to me with the Vikings because on this show and every show, right, they had all of the luck in the world last year. They won all those games by 1 score, and now they are 0-3 this year, and they have lost those 3 games by single scores.
0-4 in the calendar year 2023 too, because they lost that playoff game by a single score too.
By a single score. So it's just math, I guess, and it really regressed.
It is just math. It's regression.
Oh, yeah. And that's exactly what's happened to them. But what's so interesting, too, is that the Vikings, Kirk Cousins threw for under 300 yards. Justin Jefferson had, 147 or something crazy receiving yards yesterday. And they still find ways to lose. It's really just.
They got the ball. They had 4 drives on Sunday against the Chargers, finish inside the Chargers' 6-yard line. And they came away with 10 points in those 4 drives. That is so hard to do. Like, you're inside the 6. That's where the final play of that drive occurs, and you get 10 points. That is hard to do.
All right. Well, and then the Panthers, Brinson, I know you liked Andy Dalton. You were excited about him.
Yeah. Andy Dalton played well, kept it close. Adam Thielen revenge game here. Adam Thielen's like, look, he ain't. I know. Alex is crushing for being dust. But he's the best thing they've got. And he's catching like he's gonna have 18 catches for 84 yards in this game and 2 touchdowns against the Vikings in his revenge game. He's not gonna get downfield, but he can get open underneath, and he is at the very least a serviceable option for someone like Dalton or Bryce Young if he's able to play. I don't know what the Panthers will do here in terms of the quarterback. If Bryce Young can go, I think they'll want him to go. I also think that they feel like Andy Dalton probably gives them a better chance to win this week, and that they wouldn't mind holding out Bryce Young until he's completely healthy to avoid, 1, getting re-injured, and 2, trying to get a win because they're 0-3. Frank Reich had a very oh God, is Jeff Saturday coming for my job look on the sidelines at the end of yesterday's game. And so I think we could see Andy Dalton here. I kind of think you grab the 3.5 of the Panthers and Andy Dalton. Win a game by more than 3 points. Win a game, Vikings. Win a game by more than three points. The game is at Carolina, right?
Yeah, at Panthers.
Panthers are catching 3.5 at home. Defense is decent enough. The Vikings love to screw stuff up. I'm going to ride the Panthers one more time here, much to my chagrin, if I'm getting 3.5 as a home dog.
I'm not touching this game with a 10-foot pole.
Probably not. Probably a good idea.
Yeah,
Here's a great.
We probably taken a different approach if homeboy for the Vikings catch that pick in that crucial moment. That would have been a crucial time interception for West Coast Cousins. But we see now that anything involving the Vikings or Chargers, even from a point total standpoint, because the Chargers on paper defense should be a top 8 defense.
Should.
Yeah.
Should, right? And the Vikings should average 30 points a game, considering they have a guy that puts up a lot of iceberg lettuce type numbers, right? So I would stay away from this game. Just watch for the narratives. Just watch this one and enjoy it. Just stay away from it.
What about you, Props?
3 consecutive games with at least 7 receptions and 149 yards for Justin Jefferson. That is historic, just unbelievable production. Somehow it feels like it's still.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they can't win. It's just unbelievable how good Justin Jefferson's been. This offense is so dynamic and explosive. It's a shame it's not resulting in any wins. Been very impressed with Jordan Addison as well. The Vikings even finally ran the ball effectively for the first time this season. Didn't result in a win here. This Panthers team just not inspiring very much confidence, though. I do think Minnesota gets their first win in Carolina in this game, whether it's Andy Dalton, whether it's Bryce Young, just not enough pieces in my opinion. But then again, this Vikings team figures out a way to lose every single game. So,
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Baker, touchdown maker. Into New Orleans after he plays on Monday night. How will that Monday night game affect it? And what is the deal with Derek Carr? We'll tell you coming up next.
The world's greatest goal scorer.
Messi scores it.
Shoots to claim another trophy with his new American club.
Messi again.
Catch Lionel Messi in the U.S. Open Cup Final on CBS Sports Network and streaming on Paramount Plus.
So the Buccaneers and Saints playing. Welcome back to the Pick Six Podcast, of course. Buccaneers at Saints. Saints minus 2.5. The look ahead was Saints minus 3.5. This line actually opened at 3. It's down to minus 2.5, minus 115. The problem is Derek Carr week to week. This isn't impossible. We'll be quick here because this is impossible to handicap. Derek Carr is week to week. In fact, if you have something you want to say about this, great. Otherwise, I'm just going to point out the fact, like the 2 impossibilities of handicapping this game, and we can, and then Katie can move on to our next one. Buccaneers at Saints. Derek Carr's week to week with an AC sprain. Dennis Allen confirmed it. We have no idea if he's going to play, no idea if Jameis Winston's going to play. And the Buccaneers play Monday night against the Eagles at home. If they win, that line will move, I would guess, but I don't think it'll move that much because we don't know who the quarterback is for New Orleans. It is impossible to have any real lean early on in this game.
Not for me. I'll tell you straight up.
All right. If Jameis plays.
If Jameis plays, take the Saints to win this ball game. If Carr plays, now he's coming up. He already has arguably the worst pocket presence in the league outside of Gardner Minshew. Like they don't feel pressure. They just are complete.
Do you see where he wears those? Did you see that thing?
Oh, to cancel out the noise cancellation.
Yeah.
Right?
So like, one other Saints player, he's like, "Whoa, dude!" He's like, "Yeah, you wear that." It's like, how do you hear anything on the field? Like, no wonder your pocket presence sucks. You can't hear someone coming.
And now he's coming in banged up shoulder. Take the Bucs if he's out there. And if he's not, then take the Saints because we know Winston is fearless. And here's this is to all the Saints fans that was texting me yesterday. Oh man, what we're gonna do now? Like Carr had the offense rolling. Like, bro, you scored 10 points on offense. Shaheed had a punt return. Yeah. Chill out. The offense has been sputtering.
Offense has been terrible.
Chill out.
It's Derek Carr wearing those things is like somebody wearing like noise canceling Beats by Dre while driving down the highway. They're like, I don't have to hear anybody honking at me. It's like, well, that's great.
Right.
Unfortunately, you don't hear you're like you're just weaving over. Yeah, exactly.
And they do get Alvin Kamara back, so that's going to help out the run game.
Yep.
And if Winston plays, take the Saints because they'll get after Baker Mayfield. And with Winston, we know the deep ball is going to be back in play. That has been not as consistent with Carr. But if Carr is out there coming off an injury where he's going to be a little bit skittish, he's already, we talked about pocket presence. The Bucs will win this one. So this is tough. But this one, you probably want to wait until you find out who is starting for the Saints and play it that way.
Yeah. What about you, Props? Any props that you're looking at?
No, just, this is a wait and see game for me.
All right, so let's move on to another one that maybe this line will fluctuate depending on tonight's game because one of the Monday night games is the Bucs and the Eagles. So then next week we've got Commanders at Eagle. Right? Am I losing my mind today? I feel like Mondays are very hard for me. Yeah. All right, Commanders at Eagles. Eagles laying 7, total 44.5. I don't know that the Eagles deserve a whole touchdown here. I just haven't been overly impressed with their offense or really their pass defense. And Sam Howell's had some moments. I might take the points here with the Commanders.
I'm gonna go ahead on and lay the points of the Eagles because I like their D line versus this offensive line that we just saw.
Washington's offensive line is real bad.
Right. And so that's the matchup here. And hopefully, granted, we all have these one games where everything just goes haywire. So I don't expect Howell to throw 4 intercepts again. But I do expect him to take a lot of sacks. There's a lot of hero ball in his, he wants to show he's tough and physical, but that's going to end up in a lot of sacks trying to evade that Eagles rush. So I think Eagles will get multiple swings at bat. This game could even, easily be 24-7 and you cash the under and also cover the spread. So I like the Eagles here.
Do you think it matters at all, Alex, if like what happens on Monday night, like if the Bucks, because I think a lot of people are on the Bucks on Monday night against the Eagles. If the Bucks somehow pull off that win, do you think you can find a 6.5 here, or is this sit at 7? If the Eagles stomp the Bucks, it'll get up to like 7.5 or 8 probably.
No, I would agree. Yeah, I think even if the Bucks end up winning, I still think we'll catch this at 7 points. I think this Eagles team is such a bad matchup, as Emory mentioned. Washington's offensive line gave up 9 sacks. Howell was pressured on 60% of his dropbacks yesterday. That is just unbelievable statistic, obviously. I think this Eagles front is as good as any front in the NFL. They're going to absolutely get after him. I like the Eagles a lot, taking the points here as well. I think they'll have their way with this Commanders offense.
All right, I'm a lone soldier.
Yeah, enjoy that, Washington. Yeah,
out here on the limb by myself.
You and Sam Howell. Broncos. Speaking of islands, Broncos minus 3.5 at the Bears. I think the Broncos just gave up 70 points, and they're a 3.5 point road favorite. I mean, what does that say about the Chicago Bears and their hope for anything at all? Like, if you're a Bears fan, I mean, there's no team. I don't remember a worse week in a long time for a football team than what the Bears had. Their DC quits. There's all kinds of
rumors.
There's all kinds of stuff going on about why he left and crazy internet rumors. There are $100,000 worth of equipment is stolen. They Justin Fields throws for 99 yards in front of Taylor Swift. They get the brakes beat off them by the Chiefs. I mean, Justin Fields calls out the coaches before the game. Just a total disaster. But I don't know, man, how you can back Sean Payton. Maybe there's a bounce back spot. I mean, the Bears are so bad on defense. Maybe there's a bounce back spot for Russ and the Prop. You mentioned that you felt like Russ was playing a little bit better. Certainly he wasn't very good yesterday. But is this maybe a bounce back spot?
I take that back, Brinson. As far as Russell is concerned,
I said the same thing.
I know. I did think he was starting to play better, at least as far as like the design plays were concerned in the first quarter in those previous 2 games. But yeah, yesterday did not look good. Marvin Mims continues to show out, but he's played 24% of the snaps in back-to-back weeks. Sean Payton was asked after that big week 2 performance, said he wasn't going to guarantee that Mims played more, and Mims played the same exact amount of snaps in week 3. So he's stuck true to his word. So that needs to change. The Broncos need to figure out that he's their most explosive wide receiver. But yeah, these defenses just combined to give up over 1,000 yards and 100 points yesterday. I have very little confidence in Chicago's offense, particularly that passing offense. Just wasn't able to generate anything while the game was even remotely competitive. Have a little more confidence in Denver just based on what I've seen. So yeah, I think Marvin Mims is interesting, but yeah, just not playing enough to really feel comfortable. There's not just a consistent target floor there as far as he's concerned. But yeah, I think the Broncos offense should have their way, but then again, these defenses are both so bad, hard for me to really have a lot of confidence either way.
I like the Broncos here. Russ has been playing well the whole season. He played well yesterday. Unfortunately, their defense just isn't where it needs to be. Vance Joseph may be the first dude in history to get fired twice in the same city. Like, got fired as the head coach at the Broncos. Now he's back as DC, and he might lose his job as a DC with the Broncos. If they just had any semblance of defense, they probably kept that one close. And in this ball game, I know everyone's talking about, Caleb Williams for the Bears and quarterback and whatever. To me, it sounds like it should be Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jared Verse because they can't get to the quarterback and need someone outside of DJ Moore. It seems like they need more weapons as opposed to a new quarterback with the same set of issues that they already have. So I think the Bears could easily stay with Justin Fields and get better around him. But the Broncos in this spot just is easy money.
Yeah, if they're going to get right against anybody, it's
Bears are
definitely
trash.
if there's a team that after you get blown out and somebody drops 70 on you that you want to see in the following week, it's definitely the Bears. And yeah, I think that Russell Wilson. I'm so irritated about last week. And I had Russell Wilson over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He gets
That's
one,
bad beat.
and then he gets 2 more, and then both of them are called back, and then he never gets another one. So I'm still salty about that. All right, moving on. Ravens at Browns. Browns favored -2.5. Huge game for the Browns, 27-3 against the Titans this weekend. Deshaun Watson had quite the bounce back game from that primetime loss, total 41.5. Emory, what do you think of this one?
Should chime in and get with the refs thing too, because the refs again in Browns games have been a bit sketchy at best. They had a touchdown that they didn't call yesterday. A couple of face masks they didn't call against the Steelers. So we got to be careful with this, the way they call these Browns football games. This one I will stay completely away from because the Browns defense is excellent. Deshaun Watson, that passing game, can have some success against that Ravens secondary. The Ravens still have the best player overall in Lamar Jackson, but their backfield, if I'm a fantasy guy, I would go and stash Keaton Mitchell right now, because that when he gets back healthy, whenever that is, it could be this week, could be next week, that's going to be the guy in their backfield because he is explosive. And so Ravens still have some issues with the dropsies. I would stay away from this. This will be a very good football game from an X's and O's point of view, but betting, stay completely away.
Let's skip Bengals Titans. Titans -1.5. If you don't think Joe Burrow is going to play in that game, I mean, good luck knowing that. You can't know until after Monday Night Football. I guess I would lean towards the Titans. Look ahead with Bengals -1.5. Titans don't look that great at playing football, so that one's certainly a questionable game to look at. Patriots-Cowboys. Pats at the Cowboys. Cowboys -7. Total 42.5. That feels like too much for me. I would probably lean towards the Patriots there. But it's Emory, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I don't trust the Patriots offense. Like, they had the benefit of playing Zach Wilson-led offense, so there was no real threat, and I was all in on the Jets somehow finding a way to get a win, but their offense still isn't explosive enough. The Cardinals' offense is more explosive than the Patriots' offense, so I like the Cowboys here to cover. It was 6.5 earlier in the day, but now it's 7. Either one, I think you should be fine.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Cardinals at 49ers. Niners laying 14 at home. I don't
the Katie Mox game. You've been backing the Cards, but do you fade your boys here?
I'm laying off. Well, one, I think the 49ers should, of course, clear this, but the Cardinals are my fun little frisky team here, and they did come off beaten. How are the Cardinals just kind of getting lucky, or are they really this good? And I think if they show up against the 49ers and can keep this close and or win, which I don't think will happen. I can't even believe it came out of my mouth. Then all of a sudden we got to have conversations that the Cardinals are maybe for real. But the 49ers should win this game. I'm going to lay off of the 14, but I'm interested, Props, what you think of James Conner and can he run all over the 49ers defense like he did the Dallas Cowboys?
I don't. I've been very impressed with James Conner, very impressed with Josh Dobbs, very impressed with the Cardinals, Marquise Brown as well. I think they're playing way above expectations personally. I think they're going to come back to earth in this matchup. I know the D has been very feisty, but yeah, I just think this Cardinals team, it's like almost a mini miracle that they're 1-2. Obviously, they were in all 3 games, could have won each game, but yeah, I just think eventually the talent is going to catch up. They're playing super hard. But I think this is a big mismatch against your 49ers, Katie. I think if the 49ers are up for this game and treating it like they're going to treat, any opponent, it's going to be a rout potentially. I just think this Cardinals team is kind of peaked, in my opinion, over the first 3 weeks. I don't think they're going to continue being this good as the season progresses. I think they ultimately get exposed starting this week.
Yeah,
I wonder if the 49ers are going to treat this like the Oregon Ducks treated Colorado coming in. Like, you had your fun. Now we're going to pound you.
I think. Sorry, go ahead, Emory.
If they just catch the picks that Brock Purdy throws them, they should be fine. But I think they
he's
covered
got the best luck when it comes to those. I don't know.
It's whatever he's living right. So I would say take the Cardinals and their points. And I think a lot of people just have to go and look at this Cardinals defense pound for pound and what they possess from a personnel standpoint, they've been solid versus the run. They are getting after the quarterback. Those things you can't luck yourself into. You can't just turn on your run defense and say, hey, we're going to stop the run today. No, that's an attitude. So the attitude is where it needs to be on defense. Offensively, what could give the 49ers issues is something that they probably hadn't faced so far this season, the athletic mobile quarterback. And
RPO stuff. Yeah.
Right. So that right there that in and of itself calms the ability to just get upfield. Now you got to play a little bit more passive and hesitant. So by schematic and personnel, this game will be a lot closer. So I'm gonna take the Cardinals and the points.
3-0 against the spread. The Cards.
We got 3 games left. We're running out of time, so let's we'll open it up. We got Raiders at Chargers. Chargers minus 4.5, total 49.5. Goodness gracious, that's a big total. Mike Williams done for the season, according to reports. Will be confirmed later this afternoon with a torn ACL. That sucks. He's been playing great football. Wow, this line is up to Chargers minus 6. As a result, not of the Mike Williams thing, but presumably because of how the Jimmy G is in concussion protocol. That's what it is. So that's sort of a hedge by the books, and you see the total down a full 1.5 because of Jimmy G as well. Aiden O'Connell, a little spicy in the preseason. Chiefs minus 9.5 at the Jets, total 43, and the Seahawks at the Giants. Giants minus 1. Giants minus 1.5. Total 46.5. Any of those 3 games pique anyone's interest?
I'll take the points with the Seahawks.
I'll lay the 9.5 with the Chiefs and also take the under.
I think that under is a great look. Like I think one thing that's kind of interesting about that too is they harken back to when the 49ers played those back-to-back games in MetLife Stadium, or go look at Aaron Rodgers this year. That turf has been a real problem for people getting hurt. That stadium specifically, that turf. By the way, will Taylor Swift be there on Sunday Night Football?
I hope so. I've started a new name for them. I'm calling them Tasty.
Tasty. I like it.
That is you heard it here first. That's their celebrity nickname. Tasty.
I just think to Emery's point about the under, this is Sunday Night Football. You're going to try and run against the Jets, be conservative, get your points, let Zach Wilson make his mistakes. Your defense has been very, very stingy. 21 points is going to win this game for the Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes hurt his ankle. You don't want him to suffer any setbacks there. So I think that under is probably a pretty good look. And if Andy Reid gets a lead, bet the live under, because Andy Reid will pound the crap out of the football, particularly in the second half. Anything on it's the Raiders Chargers? We can't really do anything about it until we know about Jimmy G. So Seahawks and Giants, you say you're taking the points of the Seahawks, Katie?
Yeah. Well, one, the Giants offense has not shown anything. Now, the defense was great. Obviously, they just blitzed the hell out of Brock Purdy. I think a 98 or 96 or something crazy % of his dropbacks. So maybe that's what they're thinking is going to happen here, that Geno's not going to be as successful. But I've been really impressed with the Seahawks this year. So I'm taking that point. The Giants have not shown me that they're worthy of being a favorite.
I like the over here too in that game. I like the Seahawks, but I also like the over. Seahawks defense tends to still be a little bit lax in coverage.
They've been bottom 5 they've been like bottom 10 defense the last 10 years or 5 years, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, guys, make sure you join us all week for more NFL coverage. Tomorrow, Brinson, Breach, and Wilson are joined by Pete Prisco to dissect his weekly power rankings on CBSSports.com. This week in particular should be spicy after the Jags really just laid an egg. One last reminder to show us some love with a like or comment. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page. For everyone listening to the audio version only, make sure you follow, download, leave a 5-star review, and tell your friends to listen and watch the pod. Brinson and crew, we'll see you tomorrow.